Be smart, dummy, dummy, be smart. He said that fool, you weren't cool. He took a book to your school. Be smart, dummy, dummy, be smart. Don't get shocked if you get mocked. It's what you find when you use your mind. Don't you sweat it, look 'em in the eye. Don't regret it, hold your head high. Be smart, dummy, dummy, be smart. Try to show some tenderness, even when they're playing chess. You think it's dumb to be smart, but that's the way you make art. So be smart, dummy, dummy, be smart.
Hi, I'm James Eade, and welcome to Change Your Mind. You know, I live in the divided states of America, and how do we get united again? You know, and I think divided house cannot stand, and so it's important for us to figure a way how we can get together again and be one country, thinking in the same principles, acting. We can have disagreements without being disagreeable. How can we get back to that way of being? Working across the aisle, talking to people that you may not disagree with, but still being in productive conversations. And we spend a lot of time trying to change someone else's mind, but I think it's an inside job. I think we have to learn to change our minds. So I have guests come on and try to change my mind and give you the chance to watch, to see whether they can or not. My guest today is Donald Steiny. And Don, welcome to the show. And Donald, I wanted to introduce you. I know you as a social science researcher. I know that you've been a businessman, and you're also a coach. And I've been on shows with you before, and I've always admired the approach that you take. And I wanted to know what is it today that you think you can change my mind about?
I think that I can give you a new perspective on luck. I think that, luck is something that you have a lot more control over than you think you do. And I'd like to share this with everybody and make this be part of everybody's lives, including yours.
Well, thank you. But I'm Irish, so it's the luck of the Irish. That's my perspective. It's always been the luck of the Irish means that we're not that lucky. Bad things happen to good people. So isn't luck something that just comes your way? You don't really, how do you control it? It doesn't make sense to me right off the bat.
Well, I will say that a lot of people think that they have magical ways of controlling them. They have lucky rabbit's feet and various kinds of things. You can really know that doesn't work. I mean, for instance, like people pray for their football team, but everybody on both sides are praying, and it doesn't seem. How does God decide which side he's going to favor? It doesn't ever seem to work out. They have lucky rabbit's feet on both sides, and it doesn't really work. But there's a wonderful researcher in England named Richard Wiseman, who studied luck. And he wrote a wonderful book called The Luck Factor, and he's written other books and papers about this. And he put an ad in the paper, and he said, "Are you very lucky or very unlucky? If you are, contact me. I'd like to study you." He's a psychologist, and he got about 800 people contacted him. And over a period of years, he studied them to find out what was different about the people that were lucky than the people that were unlucky. And he discovered that there were differences. There weren't any differences in their intelligence. There weren't really any differences in their overall personality traits. None of the regular psychological things that you'd think of. But he found out that there was a huge difference in how they approach the world. And some of the experiments that he did were just delightful. So one of my favorites is he left a 5-pound note. Of course, this was England, so that's like a $5 bill, basically, right outside his office, right on the door, right in front of the door. And almost all of the lucky people found it, saw it, and almost none of the unlucky people saw it. Now think about that for a minute.
Right, I am.
What does that tell you about lucky people? Yeah.
They're observant?
Well, yeah. That seems to be part of it. And another one that he did is he had a newspaper, and he told the people he altered it, and he told the people, he said, count the number of pictures in this newspaper. And so the people started counting, and if you opened it, the whole entire second page of the newspaper said, you can stop counting, there are 37 pictures in this newspaper. And almost all of the lucky people saw that, and almost none of the unlucky people saw that.
Now that one puzzles.
Sort of tells. It's
I can't really come up with a plausible explanation for that.
It has. I think that I think that observant is a part of it, but it's also expectations. I think the main part of it that really is important is the expectation that something good is going to happen to you. Not just looking for things, but knowing that whenever you're existing in life, when things are going along, that good things are going to happen to you. And so you're always looking for good things. And that's what it turns out that's one of the most important things for lucky people. He has a luck test. And in the luck test, the first question is, he said, do you frequently find yourself talking to people in supermarket lines and bank lines? And people who do are much luckier than people who don't.
All right.
Why do you think that is?
They're more curious, they're friendly, or I'm guessing that it's got something to do with being more extroverted. I don't know.
It's a good. I'm gonna ask you another question. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a puzzle, and I hope everyone that's listening to this takes the time to think about it too, which is, think of 3 things that are important and valuable in life that you don't get from other people.
Okay. I'm stumped. I got breath.
Yeah, I mean, people come up with things like fresh air, and even water. Your water system comes from other people. I mean, it's out. So the point of the matter is what is good fortune? Good fortune is things that are valuable, and so ultimately, what's going to come to you that's of value is going to come from other people.
I wanted to argue with you, but that's a wonderful insight. Because part of what the EAT Foundation is all about is building community. And so building a community, being part of a community is it true? Let me say it again. Being part of a community makes you lucky. Can I say that?
It's partially that, but what happens is that we make connections with the people we're connected to. So, and all of us have smaller or greater spheres of people that we're connected to. So it does fit with the thing that you're talking about like us being like getting to be like oil and water in a way, or we get separated from each other where there's not a connect. They come into groups where everyone in the group talks to each other and they know the same things and they basically see the same reality, but they don't talk to each other. So, and and some of it's completely benign. Like for instance, your family. You talk about the things your family talks about. You grew up together. You have the same background. You have all a whole bunch of things that you all know that no one else knows, right?
Like old
And
friends.
you,
Yeah.
right, old friends. And your work, you have the kind of
Sure.
stuff that you do in your work, or you have your secret, your work language and stuff like that. And so it's not a nefarious thing or anything else like that. It's just that within each of these groups, you wind up, maybe you have a hobby of playing music, and so within your musical friends, you have a different thing. Maybe you love movies, maybe you love chess, for an
Yeah.
instance.
Yeah. Yeah. We
I know
saw co-op.
somebody like that. And um, and in each of these worlds, they're separate. They're basically separate worlds, and the people, each of the, they don't necessarily connect. And what we, but you connect. Like if you play chess, you have a family, you have a job, you're the connection between all these worlds. You're the connection. You're the link between them. And the research has shown that the people who are linked into the most diverse worlds like that, the most diverse social worlds, make the most money, get promoted the fastest, and even have fewer colds. They have better health. And as we age, they live longer. They're healthier as people age. I mean, it our human beings are social critters, and if we lose our connections with others, it actually affects our gene expression for our immune systems. It actually starts killing us. So it's so incredibly built into it. But basically, what the trick is that you can find in one group people know the same things, but then in another group people know different things. And I'll just say that there's a famous paper called The Strength of Weak Ties by my friend Mark Granovetter. And in it, he showed that people are more likely to get jobs from people they don't know well than from people they do know well. And what happened is he showed that people were more likely to get a new job by going to a class reunion or something where they met somebody that they hadn't seen in years, but they knew him. Oh,
They had a
hi
little
Jim,
stuff.
nice to see you
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
years, because and so that's what the thing about supermarket lines and bank lines is that you're going to run into somebody who has a connection to a whole different place in a whole different world that can provide resources and information to you that you couldn't get otherwise in your
Don,
own world. And so that's
this is fascinating to me because the book Freedom that you can see behind me, is my story of recovery from addiction, and I thought of addiction as a disease of isolation, and what I ended up doing was isolating from other people, and it ended up feeding into my addiction. And the part of my recovery from addiction was having a community, finding people. And I used to think that people were the problem, and it turned out that they were part of a solution for me. So what you're saying resonates very strongly with me in my experience in life in general, that the isolation, and much of the world allows us to isolate now with the internet and a lot of things that we used to have to socialize more. Like there was a book called Bowling Alone, because bowling was such a common activity. And now with television and all these shows, and people stay home more, they don't go out bowling, and they don't see each other in these relaxed situations and environments the way they used to. And I think it affects your happiness. I think, and what you're telling me is it affects your luck. I'm still having trouble believing that, but you're connecting luck to success in a way that I don't think I was making that connection earlier. Luck, it just seemed to me like a flip of the coin. That's my concept of luck, but you're expanding it to mean a little bit more than that, aren't you? Or am I putting words in your mouth?
Yeah, yes. Luck is having, random good fortune,
Right.
isn't it?
I
Yeah, it's
agree.
random good fortune. And so, running into somebody that, suddenly talking to somebody who connects you to something that's unexpected, getting you a new job, those kinds of things are lucky. I mean, just to give an example, it's just amazing. It happened to me about 3 days ago. I have a friend. I have two friends. Well, I have a friend that lives in Kenya that I met because he wanted to find me because he knew I was an expert at social networks, and somebody else told him that he should come and meet me. And I just love the guy. His name is Moses. And so I helped his company, and we worked together. We've been friends for about 10 years. And he goes back and forth to Kenya and Las Vegas. He lives in Las Vegas most of the time. But he's from Kenya. And then through another person, I met this guy named James who lives in Tanzania. And I only know James through Zoom meetings, but James is a great guy too. And so we kind of have this network of people called the African Trade Network. And I thought, well, gosh, it'd be really good if James and Moses meet each other. So I get Moses to come to one of the African Trade Network meetings, and he and James meet each other. And it just turns out that Moses is in Nairobi, and James is going to Nairobi for a business meeting. So they get together and meet up with each other, and they get together and they just loved each other. Their half-hour meeting went on for 4 hours, and they're best friends, and they go like this. So then James goes back and he goes to visit another one of his really good friends in Ghana. And he's talking to his friend in Ghana and his friend in Ghana's wife. And they talk for a little while, and the wife is listening, and she, after a little while, she goes, well, Moses is my brother.
Oh my goodness. See, that's, yeah. How do you explain that, right?
Well, we're all closer to everything than we think it is. And that's why I say that you can really change your luck, because if everything really valuable comes from other people, then by putting yourself in a situation where you can be closer to everybody, then you're going to wind up having more opportunities. When you think about, believe it or not, the Mona Lisa is the most famous well, that's kind of another story, but you think about even Steve Jobs, and Wozniak. There was lots of people that were interested in personal computer. I was interested in them, but what could I do? I couldn't afford to buy any of the components or anything else like that. I would live, far away from that stuff, but they lived in a place where people could just give them this stuff. All the things, they were in the right place at the right time. And so, wherever you are, if you want to make yourself luckier, you need to go where you can become luckier. So if you want to be, if you really want to be successful at something, like, say, for an instance, you're a musician, that's why people that are into music that usually go to someplace like Austin or Nashville or Los Angeles, or someplace like that, because you're going to accidentally run into somebody that can help you. And you're not going to accidentally run into somebody that's going to help you in Fort Wayne, Indiana, or something like that. And so you can make yourself luckier by putting yourself in a place where the random people or the random person you talk to in a bank line is going to be a lot more likely to be a person that's going to be able to help you. And so that's.
You reminded me of something that a football coach would say, you make your own luck. And the idea was, like, if you put in the effort, the ball will bounce your way more often than not. And I never really believed it, but you're starting to change my mind. It's like, the effort, putting the effort into making these social contacts seems to be well worth it. If you're open to meeting other people with different backgrounds and different ways of looking at the world, maybe, and you're going to change not necessarily your way of thinking, but be exposed to someone else's way of thinking. And they say, oh yeah, I wanted to start getting, I wrote some songs and I wanted to get them recorded, but I ran into this problem, but this is what I did. And it's something you never thought of. And then you could try it and see if it works for you. And that's manufactured luck. This way I'm thinking of it.
Now, there's another thing that go back to what I said in the beginning, and I really want to make sure I get this in is that the lucky people are optimistic. And right. You have to believe that good things are going to happen to you, or they're not. I mean, because actually, the definition of optimism and pessimism is that optimistic people notice good, like in a situation, an optimistic person will notice the good aspects of it, and a pessimistic person will notice the bad aspects of it, or the unpleasant aspects of it.
You can look at the stars or at the mud, right?
Right. It's the old glass half full, glass half empty. That's really what it is. And so if you want to be lucky, you have to be looking around with the mindset or the attitude that the things that you need and you want are there. You're going to see them. They're there. You may not see them right in a minute, but if you look, you'll find them.
I'm starting to agree with you. You changed my mind. It's like, if you're pessimistic, you're not going to get lucky. So be optimistic, change your mind, start thinking about the positive things that are just on a walk. You can notice some wonderful things rather than stay looking down at the sidewalk. You can raise your eyes and notice, oh, that neighbor has taken really good care of their garden. Wow, look at that. Something like that. And so just changing your way of looking at things will make you more fortunate. Good things will happen.
Of course, you might find a 5-pound note lying on the ground, exactly. If you're looking at the ground.
And if I'm looking at the sidewalk, maybe.
You never know.
You never know. Oh, well,
you never know.
This has been great. And so I think to summarize what I got out of this, it's kind of a power of positive thinking. And you want to change your mind so that it's more positive, more optimistic. And also, it'll make you reach out to other people more frequently. And I tried to summarize what you want to say, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to say it the way you want to say it. And what would you like the viewing audience, hi Mom, to tell us to take away from this show?
Well, the overall thing of being optimistic and realizing that a lot of luck is just noticing and being aware of the things that are around you, like what is there's some old saying about that, but I can't remember what it is right now. But nonetheless, part of that is like also seeing that in the people around you.
Yes.
It's not a matter of just looking at the garden and seeing that the garden is beautiful, or looking and seeing the 5-pound note, but it's also looking at the people around you and realizing that each one of them is this door into another world,
Yes.
a rich, incredible resource for you. And when you start doing that, you just can't imagine what a kaleidoscope of the world everything is.
Yes.
And everything that you need is there. I mean, I've been all over the world, and people are just so kind and helpful to me everywhere I've been. It's just, I mean, I'm incredibly lucky. I mean, all the things that have happened to me is just mind-boggling, and it's people ultimately that are provide our luck, and so that's what I want to say.
That's wonderful. Well said. And I'm glad that we've had this time together, and we'll do it again, Don. And I really appreciate your coming on and changing my mind about being lucky. Thanks again. I'm going to take you backstage now and say goodbye.
Bye,
Talk
Jim. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
All right, that was Don Steiny, and talking about, positive thinking and how it can really change your mind. So I'm going to say goodbye to you now, and tune in next week. And until then, stay positive. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Change Your Mind. And the Roman god Janus in my lower left-hand corner is going to be replaced by a more modern version, because we can change our minds. And just remember, every weekend is a new beginning. Thank you.